Hi, you can just call me Bunny. This is Bunny Space Industries. Cool logo. Or not. It depends if I remember to put the logo in. Who matters? So, this channel is going to be mostly space, NASA, and space-related stuff, which is why the first episode is on the Artemis 2 program. I'm really hoping I'm putting cool graphics here. If not, I'm gesturing to nothing and looking like a goofball. I think there was a cat over there. Don't worry about this. I'm definitely in space. Can't you tell? About that space station behind me? Totally in space. There won't be cats in space, or is there? Anyway, so the first episode I want to talk to the camera. Apparently, I don't know who I'm addressing. To you guys, is the Artemis 2 program. If I see me with my phone in my hand, because I have notes on it. I have like images. So as you can see with I hope I'm putting the same image I'm talking about here. If not, there's just a cat. Get out of here. Pushes the cat out of the way. I'm giving myself more editing. I better freaking do this. Anyway, so the Artemis 2 mission is NASA's mission to put the first one of the how do I put this? The second step of 3 steps to put astronauts on the moon. First one we already did, which was the Artemis 1, which sent an unmanned rocket up and around the moon and then came back. The second one is the Artemis 2 program, which will have the same pathway, the same route. It'll take off from Cape Canaveral, fly up, I'm pointing at a screen, I'm great at this. Do, a loop-de-loop around on the Earth, then do a loop around, I'm like going out of frame. My filming area is very tight. It's tight, like a spacecraft would be tight. There's a cat behind me. I mean, there's not a cat behind me, right? I'm in space. This isn't a blue screen. Okay. Back to space. Then it goes around the moon and comes back. And that's the second mission. No touching down, no landing. Sadly, even though I'm sure they could do it. But it's not ready yet. We have to make sure that the craft is safe before we have it land on the moon where nobody's going to rescue them for a while. Everyone knows the rocket. Everybody knows what it looks like, but here's it again. The Space Launch System, or SLS. One of the coolest rockets since, the Apollo or Gemini. There's one more, but I can't think of the name. It has 2 smaller rockets and then a main booster section that propels it all the way into space. And then it has several features. It has block 1 of the SLS is the solid booster. I'm pointing as if I'm pointing at things. I'm probably not pointing at anything. As far as you guys know, I don't know. We have solid rocket booster 1 and 2. And then we have the core stage, or the super big orange rocket. We have launch vehicle adapter, the R10 engines, internal cryogenic propulsion stage, the Orion stage adapter, and then the spacecraft adapter. Then you have, what is that? Encapsulated module panels, and then you have service module, which is going to have all the cargo in it, or would. If they were actually going to land on the moon, that's where all the cargo would be stored. In the service module. Then there's a crew module, which is the Orion itself. Then there's the launch abort system, where they'll be in at the very top at the start of launch. If anything goes wrong, that part on the nose of I'm going out of frame again. On the nose of the spacecraft, launches off and flies back down to Earth. But hopefully they won't need to use that system. Then they move their way back down to the Orion and then the crew module. With any luck, they won't have to use that. Here's our crew. We have, let's see if I can remember their name. The commander's name is Reed Weissman. He'll be commanding the the Artemis, the Orion. He'll be in charge of all the launch procedures, piloting. He'll fill in for the pilot, Victor Glover, who will be doing most of the monitoring and any maneuvers that need to be done while en route. But if Victor Glover needs a break, Reed Weissman can hop in, who is also a certified, both Victor Glover and Reed Weissman are certified naval pilots. And then there's Christina Koch and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, who Christina Koch is a civilian astronaut and likely civilian pilot, so she can likely fly as well. I think they're all pilots in some regard, but civilian pilots have never been active duty armed forces. And Jeremy Hansen is former Royal Canadian Navy. The Royal Canadian Navy still sounds so weird, knowing that Canada is a democracy and not a monarchy, but hold over from different history lesson. This is space. We don't talk about kings. There's no kings in space. Yet. So, there's our crew. We got Reed Weissman, Victor Glover. I'm pointing here as if like I'm pointing at anything specific, which I'm probably not. I should probably stop acting like a freaking weatherman, but whatever. You know, you got Reed Weissman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, and they have their specific roles. Reed Weissman in charge of the entirety of the mission. Victor Glover flying the aircraft, or its spacecraft. And then Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen are both working together doing mission specialists. I looked directly at the light and then couldn't see the camera for a minute. I'm good at this. I'm not good at this. So, Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen will both be doing space things, mission specialist things, basically doing different experiments and working together. Alright. Now, you might be asking yourself, what if, say, out of nowhere, Jeremy Hansen gets sick? The day of the launch in 2025, around September-ish, what if Jeremy Hansen gets sick? He can't do it. He's got a tummy ache. Well, if it's severe enough, and they have to remove him from the crew, Canada's Space Agency sent over a backup for him, named Jenny Gibbons. She's the Canadian Space Agency's backup astronaut in case of Hansen can't make the launch. And you might be saying, what if Reed Weissman or Victor Glover or Christina Koch, what if they can't make it? They can easily be swapped out by another NASA astronaut named Andre Douglas, who is the backup crew that can slot into the commander position, the pilot commission position, or the mission specialist. So say Reed Weissman's not feeling good, had some bad clams. Reed Weissman, don't eat clams before you go to space. It's a bad idea. Just a heads up. But say he had some bad clams. Can't make the flight. Got some stomach issues. Andre Douglas comes in, takes over as commander. Victor Glover, say he had some bad clams. Can't make the flight. Andre slots in. Christina Koch, same thing. Bad clams. And Andre Douglas. He's there as NASA's backup, basically utility knife. He's a Swiss Army knife. They have him training in every single position for NASA, so he can be slotted in at any point. So that solves the issue of well, what happens if they get sick? Well, there's a backup. NASA is doing nothing without redundancies and backups. It's always redundancies and backups. Systems upon systems upon systems of backup systems, and then probably even Andre Douglas has an unannounced backup that is also training. But the idea that both Andrew Douglas and, say, Christina Koch get sick, unless they went to the same party and ate the same clams, they're probably going to be fine. He's probably going to be fine as a backup, but they could probably slot anybody in. There's probably a backup for Andrew Douglas, if needed. Okay, but let's move on from the crew. What is the suits that they're going to be wearing? Well, they're going to be wearing the Orion Crew Survival Spacesuit. These are the orange suits. I was about to point the phone at you, and I remembered over here probably there's going to be a graphic. Probably. If I remember to edit it in. I'm going to remember to edit it in. But like I was saying, there's going to be a lot of me going off on tangents and getting distracted. I have ADHD and autism, so get used to it. We're all on the same page. I'm an idiot. Good. Okay, back to space stuff. I'm obsessed with this kind of stuff. Oh, I should also mention I'm not an NASA astronaut, trained astronaut. I don't have a space engineering degree or any kind of engineering degrees. Why is my camera saying that it's dying? Probably going to have to cut and replace the battery. It shouldn't be dying, but whatever. So, I'm just a civilian who is autistically obsessed with space to the point of if I got the chance to freaking sneak onto a spaceship, I would. Don't tell NASA, I'm not going to sneak on spaceships. Okay, but back to this. The Orion Solar System suit is the typical orange spacesuit with the white helmet that you remember from all the movies. Insert image of Armageddon movie astronaut here. It's those spacesuits. They're designed to be basically like the U-2 spy plane oxygen suits. They're there to keep oxygen pumping if the system goes out or before the camera cut out. Although you probably wouldn't notice that because I could have just smoothly hidden that, but no, I don't know. So yeah, the Orion Crew Survival System suit is there to make sure that they're not getting overexposed to radiation and all the dangers of space. So that's the safety suit. By the way, all the images I'm using and information will be down in the description. Also on screen. So if you want to pause and read, you can read the image yourself. Also, anyone saying that they think the NASA orange suits don't look very comfortable, take a look at Reed Weissman just chilling in it. Just chilling, relaxing. He looks so freaking comfortable in it. He's like, I could sit in this all day. This is like freaking living in pajamas. How's my hair doing? This looks weird. I don't know. I think that might be a clip above my head or something. These suits. Now you're probably going to think, well, what happens if they have to leave the spacecraft? Well, hopefully they don't. They shouldn't be leaving the spacecraft at all in Artemis 2. In Artemis 2, the only suit that they will be wearing is the Orion Crew Survival System suit. They won't be wearing the new EVA suits until Artemis 3, so we'll get into more of that in the next video. But the video's not over, I'm just saying. This will be the suit, a little sneak peek. This is the AXEMU EVA suit that Axiom is working on, and it looks so cool. We'll talk about this more on the episode I do about Artemis 3 when we get closer to it. But I just gotta say, the EVA suits for Artemis, for the Artemis 3 program, they already look so cool. I'm getting alien vibes. I do have all the names written down. We can head back to the astronauts because I actually found a couple of things about them. So back to the crew. You have Commander Reed Weissman. Reed Weissman served as a flight engineer aboard the International Space Station for Expedition 41 from May through November 2014. During the 165-day mission, Reed and his crewmates completed over 300 scientific experiments in areas such as human physiology, medicine. So, the point I'm going to get through into this one is every crew member that was picked from the Commander Reed Weissman. I feel like I'm not in the center anymore. From the Commander Reed Weissman all the way down to mission specialist Jeremy Hansen were handpicked specifically because of their ability. So, just gonna say before anybody screams DEI that NASA's putting the first black man and woman on the moon, calm yourself down. I will go through all their specifications. Reed Weissman, perfect role for commander. Victor J. Glover was selected. Oh, Victor J. Glover Jr. Let me get his name completely right. Was selected as an astronaut in 2013 while serving as a legislative fellow in the United States Senate. Yo, he can fucking get diplomatic with any aliens they find on the moon. They got a freaking potential senator in space. Don't worry, aliens ain't gonna see what's coming with his diplomacy. I'm kidding. He's amazing. Recently served as a pilot in the Crew 1 Dragon spacecraft, named Resilience, which flew the International Space Station, where he also served as a flight engineer to Expedition 64 and 65, however has been a pilot of NASA's Artemis 2 mission around the moon, or will be. I don't know why it says has been, like he's already did it. He's not done it yet. But he will be. They're just ready for it. So, Victor Glover, he's earned his spot. This draft is like the NFL, like times a million, for going to space. We were doing an NFL draft for space. Christina Koch, 100%. earned her spot. Christina Hamilton Cook. Oh, Cook. Sorry. I've been saying it all wrong. It even says pronunciation Cook. Cook. It's Cook. It's Christina Hamilton Hamcock. God damn it. I'm screwing this up entirely. I'm keeping all this in so you can see I'm trying to get it right. Christina Hammock Cook was selected as an astronaut in 2013. She served as a flight engineer on the International Space Station for Expedition 59, 16, 61. Cook set a record of the longest single space flight by a woman with a total of 328 days in space. That's a lot. That's like, I'm not doing the math, but you can do the math, or I'll probably put it on screen how much 328 days are. But Cook earned her spot as well. She spent more than enough time in space to be on this flight to the moon. And then, I did the same one again. Then we got mission specialist Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency, who I like to make a little joke of like Canada saw America go into space and it was like, can we come too? And like they were like, fine, we'll bring our little brother. But all jokes aside, Chris Hansen has earned his spot as well. There is not a single person on here that has not deserved to go, that has not like worked their ass off to be in this position. I'm going like this, like I'm going down a list, but there's Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen will fly to the moon on the Artemis 2 mission, the first crew flight test of Orion spacecraft launching the SLS rocket, from the first Canadian to ever venture to the moon. But also he has Bachelor of Science in Space Science, Masters of Science in Physics. And he has flight certification of airline transport pilot license. And he has a background as a fighter pilot. So yeah, he was in the Canadian Royal Air Force. So like, he's definitely deserves to be on the crew. Every single person on the crew for Artemis 2 deserves to be there. Also, I just want to point out just how awesome it is. NASA made a fucking movie poster for Artemis 2. Like, yeah, we know you guys are going to think it's fake, so we're just going to make it look like a movie. And it looks so fucking badass. Like, it looks like the best space movie ever made. Alright, so now let's go down to different titles. Like Commander. Often the Commander is also a pilot of the shuttle, or in this case, the Orion. Commanders are responsible for the vehicle, the crew, mission success, and safety. And there's the pilot, who's Victor Glover. The pilot on NASA's Artemis 2 mission is responsible for commanding and flying the Orion spacecraft around the moon. The pilot, Victor Glover, will be joined by 3 other astronauts on the mission. And we know it's in the mission specialist. Mission specialist will be in charge of, this is both Christina Cook, I'm saying it right this time, and Jeremy Hansen. They're in charge of testing life support systems. The crew will evaluate the systems that generate breathable air and remove carbon dioxide and water vapor. They'll be studying the moon from the capsule without going down. And once they go again, and because I think Artemis 2 is also Artemis 3, the actual landing on the moon crew. The crew will visually study surface features like craters from orbit, taking photos and describing their color, reflectivity, and textures. That sounds like stupid shit. It's not. It's completely freaking scientific and all that, I assure you. Training for future missions. The Artemis 2 mission will pave the way for future missions to land on the first woman and first person of color and first international partner astronaut on the moon. So the Artemis 2 program's got a lot riding on it. They have a stacked crew. They have an amazing rocket. Let's talk about the difference between the SLS now and the Saturn V, which took the Apollo to the moon. So, the SLS first launched. Let's start with the Saturn V. Let's go back and work forward. Saturn V first launched in November 1967. Its program was under the Apollo. Its height was 363 feet tall. Its weight was 6.2 million pounds. Thrust was about 7.6 million pounds of downward thrust. Top speed was about 17,400 miles per hour. Crew module. The crew module was called the Columbia. Cost to build was about $6.417 billion in 1969. Price per launch was $185 million per launch in 1969. Now for the SLS, which is like the newest younger brother to the NASA spacecraft family, first launch will be in 20. Nope, that's not true anymore. The first launch was in 2022. That was Artemis 1. That was Artemis 1. I almost got confused. I forgot we're talking about the SLS itself, and the SLS is the space launch system that will be used again for Artemis 2. So first launched in August 2002 under the Artemis program. It's 322 feet tall. I know you're saying, oh, it's so puny and small. Don't make fun of the small guy. The SLS is a short king. He is a short king for sure. He has 5.5 million pounds of thrust, a little bit less than the Saturn V, but not too far off. 8.8 million pounds of, it weighs 5.5 million pounds, so it's not as heavy as the Saturn V, where the Saturn V weighed 6.2 million pounds. So it's like the more lean cut, goes to the gym younger brother. Then it's the, unlike me, who is like the fat older brother, or medium brother, middle brother. Then there's the amount of thrust it could do. 8.8 million pounds of downward thrust. That is way more than the Saturn V can do. Its top speed is 24,500 miles. That's way faster than the Saturn V can do. Its module is called the Orion. It only costs $23 billion to build, but that is not adjusting for inflation, which I'm sure that the Saturn V would cost around that much today. So $23 billion is a bit more expensive, but it was built by other partners, not just NASA. Then there's a price per launch. Whereas the Saturn V only costs $185 million. Sorry, my camera started to turn itself off. So whereas Saturn V cost $185 million, that was in 1969, it would actually cost $1.49 billion in 2022. And to build it would cost $51.8 billion in 2022. So overall, the cost of building and operating the SLS is like, to build it is a little bit cheaper. To continue to operate it is a little more expensive than the Saturn V. The Saturn V was only $1.49 billion, whereas per launch of the SLS is about $4.1 billion, which is a little more expensive to launch it, but it's cheaper to make. So, you gotta weigh your, goods with your bads. I'll put the link to the Saturn V and all that information from NASA down below. And okay. That's it on the Space Launch System. There's several variations that they have planned for the Space Launch System. There's the SLS Block 1 crew, which will be taking the Artemis 2 crew to around the moon. Then there's the SLS Block 1 cargo, which will arrive before Artemis 3 to put the Gateway satellite into space. There's the SLS Block 1B crew, which is a little bit bigger, a little more powerful. That'll likely be for Artemis 3. SLS Block 1B cargo, which is much larger and can carry more cargo. SLS Block 2 crew. And the SLS Block 2 cargo. So you see they're going up in size, but because they're becoming more powerful, more stronger, all of that. We can even look at the payloads. So the SLS Block 1 cargo has a payload of volume of 8,118 feet cubed. And then we look at the N1, the Block 2 cargo, it's 34.910 cubed. So as you can tell, it's going up and it's becoming more. You need to bring more things to the moon the longer you're up there, which is normal. There's the we don't have to go into detail about all the different stages of it, right? I don't think so. There's the core stage, which is the big booster that pushes them up into space. There's the RS-25 engines, which are the really big, massive engines that give it its major thrust. I'm not going to go too much into the... Did that light dim? I hope it didn't. That light might have dimmed. I don't know. I hope it's right. It looks darker now. I think that light might be dying. Yeah, my light's dying. We're gonna hurry up and wrap this up. We have. Trying to see what I have saved in here. I think that might be it. So I do want to address the long-term effects of multiple. It is darker, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. All right, so my light's dying, so I gotta hurry up. So we should address the long-term issues continual rocket launches have on the planet. It heats up the atmosphere, it depletes the ozone layer, toxic rocket fuels, all of that. Satellite disintegration. But NASA has solutions for this, which are they're working on trying to do nuclear fission, photovoltaics, maybe kerosene. There's like a bunch of solutions that NASA has to try and counter this. It's just that they can't do it right now. I'm like racing against the clock because my light over here is desperately screaming at me to let it die, but I'm not letting you die yet, light. And I believe that's everything. Talked about the crew. We talked about the space launch system, the comparison of the Apollo to the SLS, the spacesuits, the crew suits. I think that's everything I want to talk about. And then the mission itself. Yeah, but that's going to be it for this video on Bunny Space Industries.